What's up, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome to VHP Engines. Real quick discussion about the RTX 2060. And, I have one currently sitting in my regular everyday gaming rig, or I guess my everyday rig is I use everything for. But anyway, so yeah, I bought a pre-built that came with a 3050. You can get 3050 out, put the 2060. Yes, there was a noticeable upgrade, despite the fact that we're using an older, cheaper graphics card. But anyway, so is the 2060 still good for modern gaming? Yeah, I use it for modern gaming. Now, I happen to get one of those rare freak buys on eBay. Yeah, I mean, if you're using a secondhand GPU market, I would recommend eBay just for safety features or safety for the safety of buying something that's used, being able to get refunded without or whatnot. So I was able to find a RTX 2060 at around $100. So I was like, oh, $100, a new GPU to test. Let me buy that. So I did. And I'm not disappointed with the performance of the card. It does work well enough. But the trending price is, even then when I bought it, was around like $130 to $150, which is exactly what it is back to right now. Which is why I say, like, I kind of bought like a unicorn used card because it was so cheap at the time. But it seems the trending price is anywhere from like $130 to $160, with $160 being kind of nuts. And I think it's just because the fact that it's a legacy card is starting to get harder to get a hold of. But when you start to think about, what you can use for modern gaming, the RTX 2060 is good and is viable, but it's not like going to give you great results. At 1080p, it tends to be like a high settings, but not like, or a higher settings card, but not necessarily like a maximum setting. So it's not like a basic card, but you're only going to get like some high performance. You're not going to get the max performance out of it. Honestly, the GTX 1080 performs better than the 2060 does, because you'll get better frame rates and higher quality. You'll get ultra settings on almost all games, at least the games I've tested on. The only one that I wasn't able to get like the maximum settings on for the 1080 was Black Myth Wukong, which has like 30 different friggin' graphical quality settings, cinematic being the highest. So I was able to get very high settings out of Black Myth Wukong on the 1080, but not cinematic. And as far as the 2060 goes, it stops right on the high settings. So at high settings, not very high, but high on Black Myth Wukong, that's as high as you can go without, dropping your frame rate into the toilet and stuttering in high stress moments for the game. So I've already made videos on what I think would be the go-to card, like if you're buying a budget build. And because of the fact that the 2060 actually in performance compares to my go-to card, which is the GTX 980, I would say go with the 980 every day. Now, there are still a lot of GTX 980s that are kind of high priced, but generally speaking, you can get them in the $40, $50 range, especially if you're being patient. There are some listed right now. Buy it now for $55. So the GTX 980 would definitely beat it. I think if you got between $100 and $150 to spend, or if you're going to spend more than $100, but you want to still keep it budget friendly, then just buy a new like RX 6600 or buy an ARC A580. Both of those cards are great. Both of those cards, the RX 6600 I don't have firsthand experience with, but just watching some video comparisons to like 1080, it performs as well or better than the 1080, and it's a newer card. So then, it makes all sense in the world. If you're going to spend more than 100 and you're going to get to that $130, $150 range, that's the card you should buy. Now, if you find one in your local marketplace, or if you find somebody who has one, or if you have one stashed somewhere and you're wondering if it's worth digging out to use for a rig or to build something to sell, then yeah, the 2060 seems fancy enough for people who don't really know computers well. So which is probably part of the reason why they sell so much on eBay. But yeah, you're gonna have people that'll jump on it just because it's a 2060 versus a 980 or a 1080, when even though it's not the greatest card ever. So yeah, hopefully you get something out of that. If you did, leave a thumbs up for the algorithm and all that good stuff. Thanks for watching, and peace.